All right, now we are ready to move on. So very important, make sure you remove new game from your ready function. So it's just randomized in ready now. Cheers, Techie Texter. Thanks for coming along. All right, almost done here. So now we're just going to do the HUD. So we're going to create one new scene. I know I said this is the last one, but this really is the last one. All right. We are going to add a new canvas layer. Canvas layer node. Bam. Just like that. And we're going to name this HUD. All right. Stands up for heads up display. This will be our GUI essentially that all games have. What we're going to do here is draw a few different things. So we need our score so that the player can see how they're doing, a message such as game over or get ready, and then a start button to begin the actual game as well. So we're going to create the following children. We are going to create, add child. We need a label. First things first, and we're going to call that one score label, just like that. Select your HUD again, and one more label. That one is going to be message. Add, almost forgot to reselect HUD. We want button, just normal button. I know there's lots of types of buttons. So many buttons. And then lastly, we want just a timer. The same timer we grabbed before, standard timer. We're going to name our button start button, and we're going to name our timer message timer. Always a good habit to get into checking or naming your nodes so you know exactly what they do, especially if you've got a large number. We don't have very many in any of these scenes, but especially in bigger games, you'll definitely run into problems if you don't label them. So I'm going to save this, save it as hud.tscn. Okay. Score label. Type a number into the text field. So we're just going to go with 0 for now. You won't be able to see it because it is hidden there. It doesn't have a font. Default font is very small, so we are going to change our font. So just in... Is it custom fonts here? Yes. Under custom fonts, we want to click on here and we want to say new dynamic font. Right? You click on dynamic font there and then expand the font section. We will be able to load our font data here. I'm going to select load. Here's when we go into our assets, fonts, and we grab our Zolonium regular. Bam. And push that straight in there. Once you have done this, you can copy it. So just go down here, copy, and then go over to our message here in this font, new dynamic font. Actually, easy way to do this, right click on dynamic font and copy, and then in message, you can just paste that dynamic font right there, and in the start button under your fonts, paste again. So now if we had, say, start, and we write that, you can see that it's using that special font that we've got now, that Zolonium font. All right, so first things first, let's grab our score label. We are going to select layout at the top. We want it to be top wide, just like that. Perfect. Our message, we want to be H center wide, just like that. Test message, cool. Let's just make sure our score label doesn't seem to be showing up. Align center, there we go. Align center. Text message here, we also want that to be align center. We want auto wrap on in case we have a big message. And then for our start button here, we are going to have center bottom. Perfect. So you'll notice that we have got our score at the very top, text message just in the center, and then our start button at the bottom. You're going to set the text to start, and the margin is the last part of our start button. So if we just go down to margin here, our bottom margin is going to be negative 100, and our top margin negative 200. It's just going to make that a little bit bigger there. We're going to just make that a little wider as well. Perfect. Actually, I'll keep that width the same. We're going to change our font size instead. So under your score label here, settings for your font size, let's set it to 64. 64 is perfect. All right. Reset our layout center bottom here for the start button. All right. A little bit of fiddling around there, but hopefully now you have got perfect. All right. You have got your big score at the top, your big message in the middle, and your start button here. We're just going to set the text of that test message to dodge the meeps. Perfect. That does not seem to be H center wide. There we go. Move that back into the middle there. All right. 0 score at the top, dodge the meeps, and our start button just there. Perfect. On the message timer, we are going to set our wait time to 2 and the one-shot property on. All right, are you still following that one? Everyone has got the format of their controls there. It can be a little bit fiddly to get them all looking exactly how you want to. We've got our score. Everyone's got their font correct and their button, the labels, and the message timer. Wait time of 2 and the one-shot. Peter, Tanaka, is that all working for you guys? Tanaka. All good? Perfect. Peter, perfect. All right, excellent. Okay, now we're going to do our script. So click on your HUD, attach a script here, and create. Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a signal here, and it's going to be called start game, just underneath extends canvas layer. And then we're going to create a new function as well. So create a function called show message. And it's going to have text, colon, there we go. So essentially, we're going to set our message.text equals text. We're going to set our message to show, and we're going to set our message timer to start. So what this will do is it'll set the text to what we want it to be, show the message, and then start the timer. And now, eventually I should say, when the timer times out, it'll hide that message. But we're going to do another function first. We're going to do function show game, show game over. Perfect. This one has no parameters. So we're going to use that message we just created. We're going to say show message, and we're going to give it this text. We are going to say game over. Nice and simple. All right. Now, what we're going to do is use something called yield. So this will pause your program until something finishes. So we're going to say yield message timer timeout. So this pauses the sequence until the message timer has finished. Right, nice and simple. Then we're going to set our message text dot text equals dodge the creeps. Cool. And message dot show. Bring it back. Perfect. The reason we're not using show message here is because we don't want this timer to start. We just want it to show the message and keep it there, keep it steady. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a node. So we haven't created a node yet or a timer yet, but this is how you do it in code. So we're going to get the tree. We're going to create a timer with a 1 second pause. And because it's yield, we are waiting for timeout. So this is exactly the same as this yield up here, except instead of referencing an existing timer, we're just creating a timer that hasn't existed before. And then we are going to start button.show. This is essentially a way of pausing the program for 1 second. Similarly to how this works here, but it just means we don't need to create another timer node. We've got this one that we've built in the code, so we don't need to bother adding a node for it. So we show our message game over, we wait until that message timer times out. Remember that we started that here. Then we set the text to dodge the creeps, show the message, wait 1 second, and then show the start button. Okay. Next, we want to function update score. Okay, this will update our score. Rather self-explanatory. So we're going to grab our score label .text. We're going to set that to the score turned into a string. This is how you convert to a string just here. So str, short for string, which is the programming word for text, essentially. It's a string of characters. And the score will be a number. Text requires a text. So we set our number to text and then assign that to score labels text property. Okay, now we're going to do a couple of our, what are they called? Signals. Okay, so our start button pressed. So if you go into your start button node here, node pressed, grab that one. We're going to connect that here. You'll see on start button pressed. And then we're going to grab our on message button timeout as well. Boom. So we have both of these now attached in. Start button and message timer. So we're going to grab our start button here. We're going to hide it. So when you press it, it hides itself. And it's going to emit a signal called start game, which you will remember is the signal we created up here. This is essentially how... What were the signals again? No problem. So the signals are in your start button. You want to grab pressed, double click on that one, bring it in. And then you want to grab message timer, timeout. So you will end up with on start button pressed and on message timer, timeout. Got it? Fantastic. All right. So start button hide in your on start button press. So when you press it, it vanishes and it emits our start game signal that we had at the top there. In our on message timer timeout, we're just going to do $message dot hide as well. So when that times out, it will vanish essentially. All right, now we need to connect our HUD to main. So back over to our main scene. We are going to, again, instance, and we want to grab our HUD, boop, and you'll see it pop down the bottom there. If we head back to 2D, you'll now notice that we have got our HUD in the main scene. It's magic. No, it's not. It's game design. Very exciting. So essentially, this is how games are built on a larger scale. So you build a component like a player or an enemy and a HUD in their own little spots where you can refine them and test them individually. And then you bring them all into your main scene, which would usually be a level. So each level will have all the little pieces in it. So you notice we've got our player, we assigned our mob up here in the inspector, and we've got our HUD just here as well. All right, let's keep going. We are very, very nearly done now. Shouldn't be too much longer. Okay, so few additions to the main script. All right, let's connect the HUD start game signal to the new game function. So this is fairly easy. So what we need to do is go to Node, make sure HUD is selected, go to Node, and when you double click on start game, you'll see on receiver method is at the bottom here. We want to connect that to the new game function. So if we press cancel really quickly and go back to the main script, you'll notice we've got this new game function here, which isn't connected to anything. You'll notice there's no green thing here. So what we want to do is connect the HUD start game to this new game. How do we do that? Simply change this to new underscore game and connect. Now you'll notice there is a green thing next to it. Right? So we connected our HUD's start game signal to the new game method in the main script. A little bit confusing there, but let me know if you guys didn't follow along with that one. All right. If we move onwards, in our new game method here, we are also going to call HUD dot update score, right? And you'll remember that we have a score variable in this class. Just up here, we're going to pass that into update score, and we're going to call HUD dot show message, and it's going to be get ready. Okay. Lastly, so now we've got those additions to new game, HUD.update score. Wait, could you do that again? Which bit did you want me to do again? The connecting the signal to the new game method? The connecting, no problem. I'll just disconnect this one really quick. So we have got our function new game here. That's in the main. So if you go to our main thing, then you'll notice the script here. We've already created the function new game. Yep. So if we click on the HUD node in our main sequence, right, our main scene, our little instance of HUD, you'll notice in the node there is start game here. If we double click on that one and change the receiver method to new game, then every time that start game signal gets hit from HUD, it connects into new game. Does that make sense? All good? Perfect. All right, so that's the additions to new game all done. Score and get ready. Next, we need to add an addition to game over. We are going to do HUD. Ooh, keep spelling HUD wrong. Dot show game over. Nice and easy. And finally, on the on score timer timeout, we also want to update the score to make sure that it resets properly. Perfect. So the additions there were in the game over function, show game over. In the new game function, update the score and show the message get ready. And then under on score timer timeout, you want to update the score there so it has got the final score there for the player. All right, you're now ready to test your game. So if you hit play, see if this works, and you'll see you've got your HUD here. If you press start, all right, we got a crash here. Invalid set index text on based. So I accidentally wrote test instead of text. That's an easy fix. Restart my project here. All right, now we've got get ready text, and after that you'll see our score is increasing, and there are the creeps. If I die, game over. Then the main menu comes back, and I can press start again. The score resets, and we get our get ready text again, and we can play. This is now a complete game. All right.